we'll understand the condition of raising action. So what our aim is that stimulated emission must dominate over spontaneous emission, and stimulated emission must dominate over absorption process. Hopefully you understand that these are our requirements. These are our requirements. That means stimulated emission, this process will dominate over other two processes. We have three processes. Just we want stimulated emission must dominate over other two processes. How will we say that this stimulated emission will dominate? For that, what we do, we first find out the ratio of P stimulated to P spontaneous. That means we are finding out the ratio of rate of stimulated emission to the rate of spontaneous emission. Why rate of stimulated emission to rate of spontaneous emission? Because rate of stimulated emission tells us how many atoms are moving from high energy level to low energy level per unit time, per unit volume by stimulated emission process. Whereas spontaneous emission rate tells us how many atoms per unit volume per unit time comes down, that means dioxide, by spontaneous emission process. So in simple words, if you forget about that per unit time, per unit volume, you want more number of atoms come down from E2 to E1 by stimulated emission process. That is what you want. You want more number of atoms to come down to lower energy level by stimulated emission process, not by spontaneous emission process. So for that, we are finding out the ratio. And we have observed that stimulated emission rate is B21 N2 U. It depends on the number. It depends on the energy density. Whereas spontaneous emission only depends on the number. And these are the proportionality constant. Einstein's A and B coefficients. So number cancel out. What we have? B21 by A21 into U. Right? So we have B21 by A21 into U as that ratio. Now what we want? We also want that P stimulated process, that means stimulated emission process, will be dominant over absorption process. That means more number of atoms will come down from E2 to E1 by stimulated emission process than number of atoms move from lower to high energy level by absorption process. Okay. Because again, our aim as that stimulated emission will dominate. So if I put the rate values, then P stimulated means B21 into U. It depends on two. Remember, any stimulated process depends on number and energy density. So number means here it is from 2 to 1, so it is N2, and absorption 1 to 2, so it is N1. So U cancel out. We know B12 and B21 are same, so they cancel out. So what we have? We have only N2 by N1. So we have only N2 by N1. So we get that stimulated emission by spontaneous emission is this, whereas stimulated emission by absorption is N2 by N1. Now what we require? We require, first thing, stimulated emission should be greater than spontaneous emission. We require, this is the requirement. I am not saying this is the ideal case or that happens normally. This is not the natural process. This is not natural. Please keep in your mind. If it was so natural, then laser was not so costly. And moreover, we hadn't to wait for more than 100 years. In fact, still people are working on lasers. Because it is not natural. So what I am saying here is a requirement. What we require. So we require rate of stimulated emission should be greater than spontaneous emission. So PST should be greater than PSP. That means if you look at the equation on right side, what we can say from this two conditions. One, B21 should be greater than A21. Einstein B coefficient should be greater than A coefficient. Einstein's B coefficient should be greater than A coefficient. That is the first condition. Whether that is true or not, that is different issue. Whether that is normal or not, that is different issue. My point, that we require B21 should be greater than A21. Second point, maybe B21 is greater than A21, but U is very small, fractional. Then PST may not be greater than PSP. So second condition, that U nu should also be large. More energy density of photon, more will be the stimulated emission process than spontaneous emission process. So U nu should be large. So these are the two conditions we get if we want to have stimulated emission greater than spontaneous emission. Similarly, we know that we require stimulated emission should be greater than absorption. This we require. Therefore, what we condition we get? N2 greater than N1. That we definitely know is not true. Remember Boltzmann statistics, or if you use our common sense, that lower energy levels are more occupied. That means N1 is always greater than N2. We have also observed it. The Boltzmann statistics. Where this one, you observe, this is your N1, this is your N1, this is N1, and this is N2. N1 is much larger than N2. Whereas what we are getting, we are suggesting that if stimulated emission will dominate over absorption process, then N2 should greater than N1. N2 should greater than N1. Just the opposite thing. Generally, that nature says N1 is greater than N2, much greater than N2. But what we require for raising action is N2 greater than N1. So these are the three conditions that we should achieve. I am giving stress on this quantity should. Why I am giving stress on this should? Because that is the required way. That is what we require. I am not saying that is natural. In fact, if I give you an example, N1 by N2 is generally e to the power 40. E to the 40 means say of the order of 10 to the power 17. N1 by N2 is of the order of 10 to the power 17. That is a natural thing. And what we say? We are saying N2 should be greater than N1. So these are the three conditions that are required. The first thing, that B21 should be greater than A21. That can be achieved. That can be achieved by a particular type of energy level, which we call as metastable energy level. We will discuss metastable energy level. But the point is, why do you require metastable energy level? Because we require B21 should be greater than A21. We require that B21 should be greater than A21. And I will show you that generally how A21 and B21 are actually, that is, I will say, tell you some numbers to understand it. So, just understand my words, that generally, naturally, A21 is greater than B21. That means spontaneous emission rate is always greater than stimulated emission rate. We will observe it. Why it is large and how much larger it is. But for lasing action, opposite thing is required. That means we require B21 should be greater than A21. And that can be achieved. That can be achieved only by using a particular type of energy level, which is called metastable energy level, which we cannot find in all materials. You cannot find this metastable energy level in all materials. You require specific type of material. Some conditions needs to be achieved. Then only you can get metastable energy level. Second thing, U nu should be very large. Okay, that is achievable. U nu means energy density of photons. How can you increase the energy density? Either you can increase the frequency, that means decrease the wavelength of the photon, or simplest way, you just increase the number of photons. Suppose one photon has very small energy, say 0.2 electron volt. Instead of one photon, now use 1 billion photons. You have a very large amount of energy, and if the energy is large, energy per unit volume will also be large. So U nu can be large, but how can you increase that number? Okay, by the way, we have metastable energy level is generally achieved by doping. We will discuss it later on. Now I am talking about U nu. How U nu can be increased? U nu can be increased by the process of amplification. Since we are talking about photons, light, now amplification is optical amplification. In electronics, you have different amplification. you have increased the voltage, you have increased the current. That is amplification process. Output current will be increased 2 times by input current. You are saying amplification process. Here we are saying optical amplification. That means initially we have 10 photons, now we want 20 photons. Amplification. So here U should be large, and how can we increase that energy density? By increasing the number of photons. We are not changing the energy of a single photon. Please understand, we are not changing the energy of a single photon. Rather, we are just increasing the number of photons. If we can increase the number of photons, then energy will be increased, energy density will be increased. And that optical amplification is achieved by optical resonator. That is the important part of a laser. In fact, it is very hard to construct laser because it is very hard to construct optical resonator. Though it is very simple to understand, but very hard to construct because of the alignment problem. We will discuss it. So optical amplification can be achieved by optical resonators. Now the third and the most important, N2 should be greater than N1. That is not normal. So what is the normal thing? N1 is greater than N2. N1 is very, very greater than N2. That is the normal process. That means population of lower energy level is greater than higher energy level. Population of lower energy level should be greater than, population of lower energy level is generally higher than population of high energy level, but we require the opposite process, inverse process. That's why we call it as population inversion. Now we require number of atoms in high energy level greater than number of atoms in low energy level. We want the inverse of population inversion, we call it. So what is population inversion? Population inversion is a process in which number of atoms in high energy level should be greater than number of atoms in lower energy level. N2 should be greater than N1. That is population inversion. And that is achieved by the process of pumping. So these are the three conditions. And that means what are the three conditions? B21 should be greater than A21. How can we get that condition? By introducing a particular type of energy level called metastable energy level. And that metastable energy level is not generally found in any material. That's why we require combination of material. That means we dope one material into another. And sometimes metastable energy level is formed. Not always. Second thing, we require energy density of the photon to be very large. As large as possible. Because more U you get here, then more PST will be than PSP. Stimulated emission will be more than spontaneous emission. How can you increase the energy density? Here we will increase the number of photons, because each photon contributes some energy. If we can increase the number of photons, we get a large amount of energy per unit volume. That means energy density can be increased. That process is called optical amplification. The process of increasing the number of photons. And how can we increase that number? How can we achieve that optical amplification? By constructing optical resonator, or sometimes it's called feedback oscillator. It's also called optical oscillator. We call it feedback oscillator or optical oscillator. Third is N2 should be greater than N1, which is not normal. So normal is N1 is greater than N2. So the process where higher energy level is more populated than lower energy level is called population inversion. We want to invert the normal process, and that can be achieved by the method of pumping. Pumping is a method by which you can do that. Pumping is very simple thing. When we talk about this, you will understand. It's very simple. So these are the three conditions, and these are how you can achieve these conditions. Okay. Another thing I just want to write here. I told you about the spontaneous emission and stimulated emission. Which one is larger? For that, let's write opposite thing. P spontaneous by P stimulated. Opposite thing we're writing. So P spontaneous means A21 N2. P stimulated means B21 N2 U nu. Remember, in the previous case, that was cancelled. Now we have A21 by B21 1 by U nu. Okay. Now we know the relation between Einstein's A and B coefficient. Remember, we have estimated it. It is 8 pi h nu cube by c cube, and we know the value of u nu from Planck's black body formula, 8 pi h nu cube by c cube 1 by e to the power h nu by kt minus 1. That was the expression of u nu by Planck's formula. Okay. So if we use these two, what we get? PSP by PST, 8 pi h nu cube by c cube as b, a by b, and this one will be c cube by 8 pi h nu cube minus 1. That this cancel out. So what we get? PSP by PST as e to the power h nu by kt minus 1. So what we get here? This is the ratio of spontaneous to stimulated emission rate. Ratio of spontaneous to stimulated emission rate, and we get that this ratio of spontaneous to stimulated emission rate is e to the power h nu by kt minus 1. Now, if I give some number, it will be easier to understand. Say, for example, we are using a photon of energy 1 electron volt. That means the energy separation between E2 and E1 is 1 electron volt. That is normal process. Normally, that is the separation between two energy levels in atoms. It is 1 electron volt order or less than or just higher than. So I am taking 1 electron volt. At room temperature, Kt, the value of Kt is almost 0.025 electron volt. Okay. If we put the value of temperature and if we put the value of Boltzmann constant, Kt comes out to be of this order, 0.025 electron volt. So if you put these values, then this ratio spontaneous to stimulated comes out to be e to the power 1 by 0.025. If we do the calculation, it will be of the order of 40. So e to the power 40 minus 1. So e to the power 40 minus 1, that means it will be a very large number. If we do the calculation, I think it will come out to be of the order of 10 to the power 17. It will be almost of the order of 10 to the power 17. So it's a very, very large number, you understand. That means the ratio of spontaneous to stimulated is 10 to the power 17. That means most of the time, spontaneous emission occurs rather than stimulated emission at room temperature. Here we have considered temperature to be room temperature. So under that condition, this is the case. Now you may argue that I am taking the room temperature. Any other temperature, it will be different. Of course. So is it possible that we can find out a temperature where spontaneous and stimulated emission will be same? Theoretically possible. Your job today is to find out. So please write it down. Find out the temperature. Find out the temperature at which spontaneous and stimulated emission are same. Stimulated and spontaneous emission ratio will be 1. That means rate of stimulated emission is same as rate of spontaneous emission. We have observed here that stimulated emission is much smaller than spontaneous emission. Whereas for lasing action, we require stimulated emission to be greater than spontaneous emission. But at least, can we find a temperature where spontaneous and stimulated emission rates should be same? That means you need to use this equation where PSP by PST will be 1. So 1 equals to e to the power h nu by kt minus 1. K Boltzmann constant. Take H nu as 1 electron volt. Find me the temperature. Find me the temperature where this is possible. Okay. In exam, that type of question can be given. In exam, they are generally asked to find out the temperature and where the frequency or wavelength will be supplied. Frequency or wavelength will be supplied, you have to find out the temperature. Spontaneous emission lifetime, you observe that if we know that how the number of atoms in high energy level decreases. It decreases in this way. If I write N2, then N2 will change with time in this manner. It will be N2 0 is a constant. It's just a constant depending on the material. What we are focusing on is this is the expression. So you observe it is an exponentially decaying function. That means if this is time, this one is say number, then it falls like this. It will exponentially decay. So this one is N2 0. When time is 0, that means at the initial stage. That means you have just pumped, you have just with the help of stimulated absorption process, you have just excited some atoms in high energy levels. Some atoms are just in high energy levels. So that is the, then what is the number of atoms present at that time? That is N2 0. And that number will decay with time. If you have stopped the absorption process, you have stopped the pumping, then with time the number of atoms will decay. Then what would be that number? Suppose that number will be N2 0 of E. That means 1 by E times of this number will be achieved at a particular time. That time is called spontaneous emission lifetime. Understand? This is the N2 0 is the number of atoms initially present in energy level, say E2. This is our energy level E2. This is the number of atoms present here. Now with time this number will decay. Why? Because they will come down automatically, spontaneously by emission of photons. So these atoms will come down, will be de-excited to lower energy level automatically, spontaneously. So with time the number will decay, number will fall. This number falls by this formula, exponential. I'm not going into how this equation is estimated. We can do that, but I'm not doing it here. But the point is, you observe this number is decreasing. Now, when the number becomes 1 by E times of its initial value, remember, we have done this type of calculation for skin depth. So when the number comes 37% of its initial value, that is 1 by E times of the initial value. That means this was the initial number. Now the number becomes 1 by E times of the initial value. Then that time is called TSP, spontaneous emission lifetime. So that means we can say this N2T will be now N2 0 by E equals to N2 0 e to the power minus A. I'm saying that time is tau SP. So what we get, N2 0 cancel out. This is e to the power minus 1. So A into t to the TSP equals to 1. That means TSP equals to 1 by A means Einstein A coefficient. This is actually A to 1. So this is what you need to know. That spontaneous emission lifetime is just the inverse of Einstein's A coefficient. That's why Einstein A coefficient has a unit of time inverse. Einstein A coefficient's unit of A is second inverse because it is the inverse of, is the reciprocal of spontaneous emission lifetime. And what is spontaneous emission lifetime? The number of atoms in high energy level always decreases with time. When it decreases to 1 by E times of its initial value, then that time is called spontaneous emission lifetime. Okay, so that is inverse of Einstein A coefficient.